Can I just clarify that the transition to Part 149 is all of the recreational or sport aviation organisations, the 8 are all required to transition?
They can all transition, Senator. Some of them may not be able to meet the requirements. Some of them might be so small that they may not be able to meet the requirements of Part 149. I'm expecting the big ones to transition. I'm not necessarily expecting all of them to transition.
Okay, so with RAOs specifically, they're in the process of transitioning.
Yes, they have applied.
And just to Senator Patrick's point about the accident reports, so at the moment manufacturers can't access the accident reports. Will Part 149 resolve that?
Senator, I'll have to take that on unless Dr. Ellicott has the answer.
Currently, a manufacturer would have no greater access to RAO's documents than they would to any other company's documents. Under 149, as I said, I do not believe there is any provision, I'm sure there is no provision that expressly says accident reports, and RAOs does conduct accident investigations, are to be published. But CASA does have the authority under 149 to make directions. And as such a direction could be made if, as a matter of policy, that decision were taken.
Because you would release those reports as a matter of course under aircraft that are licensed or regulated under CASA regulations?
Well, for conventional aircraft, accident investigations are conducted by the ATSB, and the ATSB publishes their reports. So that's a model that's there.
All right. So RAOs is a private organisation.
It is.
That's correct.
And it's owned by the members?
I'm not sure of the nature of their structure, but it's a corporate entity.
Corporate entity.
So we gave the regulation of recreational aircraft to a private entity of some description. We removed the regulatory framework from those and gave it to a private entity, which now makes money out of it.
Senator, in fact, what happened was, up until 149, RAOs administered their own affairs, managed their own pilot licensing schemes, and oversaw the maintenance of their own aircraft, subject to the approval of their manuals by CASA, which was a condition on an exemption which exists today. Effectively, all the sport aviation bodies were exempted from complying with virtually all of the civil aviation regulations, subject to the condition that they develop manuals and procedures that CASA would then approve.
But RAOs has not always existed. It was
preceded by the Australian Ultralight Federation was their predecessor organisation.
Yeah, and that was okay. Right.
Same arrangement for them.
So that's something we're working towards then, is the transition to Part 149 so that ATSB can investigate accidents and the reports can be made available to manufacturers in particular.
Well, the ATSB can investigate them now if they chose.
If they had the resources.
And what we're saying is that CASA doesn't have an accident investigation remit, but the safety management system arrangements that we envisage for 149 organizations would almost certainly include an assessment of accidents. And we would, as I said, this is a matter of policy, that's not my decision to make, but it certainly would be considered that the outcome of those investigations should be made available to the people who would benefit from them.
Yeah.
I think that's a logic that's inescapable.
Because at the moment that is a black box.
It is, but if it is, it has been for over 50 years, and hopefully it will be less of one now, under 149.
There just weren't many pilots in it. Now there's 10,000 pilots.
10,000 pilots and 3,000 aircraft. We do track the accident statistics of RAOs, but they're reported to us, but I was not aware of the point that Senator Patrick was raising today about not publishing reports.
Yeah, they have shared their reports with us
on previous occasions. So.
Senator Stirl is waiting very patiently.
It's 9 o'clock this morning.
No, good
Thank
idea.
you, Chair. Mr. Carmody, you lucky so-and-so. So let's do a deal. Let's make your last one as President as possible, and let's make your last one as President as possible for me. Can we do that? Because what I just want...
How can I help?
I just want some quick, short, direct answers, please. So that means, Dr. Alec, I'm not even going to ask you because you go on for hours. But anyway, so Mr. Carmody, how's the trial of...
in the nicest possible way, didn't you?
Absolutely. Dr. Alec knows me. Crikey. So I want to ask a question around the Brisbane Fire Control Centre, because we did visit up there and have a hearing up there. So How's the trial of the FCC cameras at Brisbane going?
Senator, I didn't bring any airspace people with me, so I
that's all
understand
right.
everything's going fine, but I can take it on notice and give you an answer.
Okay, let's do this.
Yep.
If you haven't got the people
Because I
with
haven't
you-
got any all of the airspace team with me because of the limitations we have.
All right, because I'm going to put them all on notice then,
Okay.
because they'll only waste your time and mine.
That'll be fine, Senator.
So because they're all around the fire response times, you know how topical that was.
Yes, I do.
Around the time of the inquiry. I'm also going to go to questions around the 4 minutes, what was it? 4 minute standard. There was trials, vehicles were a bit slow, they weren't getting
The
there.
response times and
Response
those
times.
sort of matters, Senator.
So-
I'm broadly familiar with them, but not with
Yeah.
where we're up to, but happy to take them on notice and answer them for you.
Well, let's put them on those because they're too important not to do that. Are you able to come back, because you're leaving, are you able to come back to us with the questions, or do you have to go through the Minister's office?
We normally, I'm not leaving till December, Senator. We normally develop our responses to questions on notice and go and provide them through the department in the normal way. I think we've got a couple of weeks to provide them. I think
Yeah,
the date
have,
was
but
set.
normally they get caught up in the Minister's office. So I'm just saying, can we circumvent that because it's safety?
We'll be as quick as we can, Senator.
Okay, fantastic. Well, let's put them all on notice because it is pretty important.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Cummings. You see how I
Oh,
operate?
Senator Stirl, you are a shining example of efficiency.
If everyone ran estimates the way I do, we would get so much done, you know that?
Thank you, Senator Stirl. That's great advice. I think that's
No, I'm
it for
talking about
CASA.
all of us.
All of us, indeed.
Senator,
That's it for CASA.
Senator, can I make a brief remark before I finish? With your indulgence, I've been appearing before Senate committees since the mid-1990s. It's occasionally been challenging, but there have been some high points and some low points. I just wanted to thank the committee for your consideration and state for the record that it's been a privilege to be centrally engaged in this important democratic process, and thank you.
We wish you all the very best in your
Chair.
future.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of the government, could I thank Mr Carmody for his great service to aviation over the time he's been at CASA, and wish him all the best in whatever he might be doing next.
Thank you very much.
Here,
Minister.
here. Are
Thank
you
you,
retiring?
Minister.
Thank you. I am retiring,
You
Senator.
lucky devil.
Well, so are you, aren't you, Senator Still?
I retired 15 years ago.
Yeah, well, we didn't have to say.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Chair and
terrific.
members. Thank you.
Thank you.
All the